You claim to be a former Illuminati member.
Yeah.
And now you are not.
God be praised. No, I'm a born-again Christian now.
Oh, that's great. And so, how did you get into it? How did you get out of it?
Okay, but I could take a week explaining all the details, but I know we haven't got that long. No, you see, I was raised in a family that was in the order of the Illuminati. At the time that I became a member, I was a seventh generation witch at the time in the order of the Illuminati. You see, my family's background goes all the way back to 1789 in the Illuminati. So, my family has a long history in this, and I think what amazes me the most about when people think about this is that they think like in, let's say like in Israel, everyone's born in a Jewish family, or in America, everyone's raised in a Christian family. But that's not the truth. When we look at, other religions of the world, we know here in America, you have families that go back centuries into witchcraft, Satanism. When we get to Florida and Louisiana, we're talking now about voodoo, Santeria, Palmayumba, and other things. It's not unusual for someone like me to be born into a family of witches, but in this case, yeah, it's the Illuminati.
And if you're a member of the Illuminati, you need to keep this in secret? Like, in school, you don't tell people?
Oh, no one had an idea what I was really up to. If you revealed anything about what you were really doing, that was a death sentence. But as I said before, now, I left the Order of the Illuminati when I was, 22? I'm 22, 23 at the time. What had happened, I was serving in the United States Army at the time at Fort Lewis, Washington. And I was walking down the road. I had to pick up some supplies. You see, I was in medicine. That's where my medical degree comes from. And my name, Doc. Everyone calls me Doc because of my medical background. And so I would go to the PX, and someone I didn't really know, more like, an acquaintance, someone else in the medical business, struck up a conversation with me, and he talked to me for about 5-10 minutes. And right before he left, he asked me what I thought was the silliest question on God's earth at the time. He asked me, now remember, I'm in the Illuminati at the time. I'm not practicing witch yet. He wanted to know if I would go to church with him on Sunday. Now, could you see me, a practicing Illuminati witch, knowing what they're up to? You know this. But could you see someone like me walk into a Christian church back then? I mean, the rafters really would have fell down on me at that point. But that one event started a domino effect that lasted for 3 years. And the long and short of it is, no matter where I went, no matter how far I went, there was a born-again Christian just waiting to witness to me. Literally, I am not lying when I say this, it was really one right after another for 3 years. And I never had been witnessed to before that. And the first time I was witnessed to, suddenly it just was never ending. But at the end of those 3 years, I finally understood what the Christians were telling me all along in light of what I was doing. So it was on April 15th, 1979, and I admit it. I was a sold-out slave of Satan's at that time. But God be praised, that same day when I left that church, I was a born-again child of the King. And for it's been almost 39, 40 years that I've been fighting against the Illuminati, exposing their plans, the New World Order, the corruption in government, the ancient stories, the giants, what's going on with UFOs, the whole of it.
Yeah, I saw videos of you on YouTube. Even you've been in Oprah and Oprah show and all kinds of...
Dozens of national, international shows, like you said. Let me think. Oprah Winfrey, Geraldo Rivera, 2020 Inside Edition, Unsolved Mysteries. I've spoken in Japan, in parts of Mexico.
And yet,
England.
you're still alive. Praise God.
Well, yeah, and it all goes to prove that God is not through with me. You see, a lot of people, and it is true, this was the point I was trying to make. You live the Illuminati, it's a death sentence under normal circumstances. But, you see, I'm a born-again child of Jesus Christ now. And that means God is going to take care of me. Now, no matter how powerful Satan or the Illuminati may believe they are, you know, they can't alter 1 second more or less when God has foreseen the time I'm going to leave the earth. So I've got nothing to worry about. I'm going to leave when God says it's time.
Do you remember Elijah and his helper, Gehazi? When?
Oh, yeah.
So he saw they're more with us than against us. And I believe there are more good people behind the scene than bad people. That's my belief.
I would like to believe that. I would. But I never thought of it like that. I never had.
People and guardian angels, of course, not only...
Amen to the... I always tell people I foresee a time when it's time for me to go to heaven, and after I have that talk with Jesus Christ, I foresee a whole bunch of guardian angels wanting to take me behind the nearest cloud and beat the PJs out of me for making them work so many overtime hours.
So we will get into it.
Matt Gunderson on the record.
If we're serious about a green energy future,
slowly, but my first question shortly is, did you know you worship Satan in those times?
Okay, well, we didn't call him Satan. Okay. And the Illuminati, they don't call him Satan. That's a Christian idea. You know, and the Illuminati, they teach that Satan's a Christian boogeyman that was created to keep the kids in line. You know, like, you know how like the parents would say, if you don't behave, you're going to go and, you know, and all this other stuff.
Of course.
You know, in the Illuminati, they refer to him as Lucifer.
And he's a good God in their eyes?
Well, yes. Let me explain this quickly. It is taught in the Illuminati that in the beginning, Lucifer was equal to God in all things. But as the millenniums rolled by, it was God who became jealous of Lucifer's equality and cast him out of heaven with all those who followed him. Right now, the Illuminati are convinced that they're summoning up enough of a force to where at the Battle of Armageddon, they're going to kill God and the Holy Spirit and put Lucifer on the throne where they feel he rightfully belongs. And right now, Christ is chained to a huge boulder in hell for betraying the cause.
So, Lucifer was created by God, or they don't believe like this?
No, they don't believe that.
I understand. And
yeah.
Okay, so maybe we should start with, you know, everybody who believes in the Bible, who reads the Bible, have to believe that there were giants among us.
Well, there's no doubt about it. We go to the very first book of the Bible, Genesis, just 6 chapters into it, it talks about the ancient giants for the first time.
So, can you tell me more about those giants and their relation to the Illuminati?
Okay, well, first let's start off with the basic understandings of these creatures. The Bible tells us that giants range anywhere from 9.5 feet to 40 feet in height. There is a particular passage, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it said that the giant was as tall as a cedar tree. Now, I checked on this just to make sure, but your average cedar tree is exactly 40 feet in height.
This is 28 meters, could be?
Yeah, it's 40 feet exactly, an average cedar tree. And the Bible tells us that was the height of the giant there.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a 4-story building. Something that tall.
That's something like I live in Israel.
Yeah, and these creatures had 6 fingers on their hands, 6 toes on their feet. They had double, sometimes triple rows of teeth. And when you study giants from what is recorded in the Bible, none of them were what you would say nice people. They were all evil, foul-beard creatures. And I have no doubt that is definitely true, because we have to remember it was fallen angels or demons that mated with female human beings, and because of this, the race of the giants were created. Now, this was done because Lucifer, remember, he was just thrown out of heaven and cast to the earth with all the others. He wanted to get revenge. He wanted to take over the world now. If he couldn't have heaven, he was going to take the earth. But in order to do this, he would have to create an army. And what better type of army could you create when you have soldiers that are 9.5 feet to 40 feet in height? And we know, among other things, God wiped them out the first time through the great flood. Now, but in Genesis chapter 6:4, it also says, not only were there giants in those days, but after those days. In other words, we have a prophecy here that states they would be coming again. And they did. And this is where Joshua, who was leading the armies of Israel, comes into the story.
How did they come back after the flood?
The same way it happened the first time.
Okay.
Now, when we look at now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this green. Now, I'm going to turn this for your listening audience so they can see everything that we're going to be talking about, okay?
Yes.
Now, can you see this photo without any problem?
Yes.
Okay. This is a map of ancient Canaan. Okay? And according to what we know, it was through the lower parts that Joshua led the armies of Israel through. And this entire area was inhabited by giants. There was, if we go by the various names in the Bible, there was approximately around 40 different types of, 40 nations that had giants in them. Now, one of the most understood and common one was up here in Bashan. Can you see this?
Yes.
Right. That's where Og, the king of Bashan, ruled. He ruled that entire area. Now, in this area, if we count the various cities, the towns, outer regions and places, and we go by the numbers in the Bible, you can extrapolate that in this area alone, there was approximately 1 million giants.
Okay.
That is, a number that's almost unheard of, 1 million giants in one area. Now, my thought is, why would Lucifer, of all places on the earth now, put 1 million giants in this area?
Some things would make anyone cheer, but for Brian Marriott, it was overturning Roe versus Wade. He'd allow abortion bans, even when a woman's life is at risk. Brian